very good morning to everyone, and you're very welcome to the third of our winter webinar series. And this is entitled Tips for Delivering Live or Pre-Recorded Training by myself, Kieran Brian. I'm a Tourism Innovation Specialist at Southern Regional College, and my colleague Brian McGee. Brian specialises in IT and innovation and many other things. So this particular series has been supported through Connected NI, and it follows on nicely from the series that we had in the summertime. We're calling this our Fridays, Webinar Fridays, but our first one was actually on a Thursday, which was last week. Our next one coming up is on the 11th of December, and my colleague Brenda Callahan. Brenda's going to talk to you about how to make food products retail ready. And then we have a series coming up after Christmas and right to the end of February into early March. So thanks a million for coming on. My colleague Brian and I have been having great fun preparing this particular session, and we have mixed in pre-recorded, so you'll not see us the whole time. You'll see a couple of pre-recorded sessions of Brian and of me, and I'm telling you, please hang in there because Brian's is very interesting. very, very, very interesting indeed. Okay, so on with the show. Your microphones will be muted. If you have any questions, please would you submit them in the questions section, and then Aisling or Sarah will submit the questions and we'll take them at the end. Okay, now then, I'm going to hand over to my colleague Brian. Sarah, if you light up the slides there, please, that would be great.
Morning, everyone. It's Brian McGee here from SRC. I'm just going to go through very quickly what we're going to talk about, and after that, then Kieran will come back and give us a bit more about why we're doing this. So what we're talking about today is how to set up and deliver pre-recorded and live broadcasts, meaning that we want to actually show you how you can do a little more professional look to your broadcasts and how you can actually make it look like you're a much bigger enterprise than you are. We want to talk about how to record with multiple cameras, 2, 3, we might even talk about 5, we might not get there. I'm going to explain the basic requirements, what you need in terms of kit, equipment, lights, cameras, mics, that sort of stuff, and also the software you need. We will use mostly or almost exclusively free software for this. It makes it easiest to get into it. But we'll also mention at the end some of the software that you can buy and some of the added features for some of the software you do use if you're prepared to pay for it. And last in this list, we're going to talk about Zoom and ManyCam and briefly touch on some other bits and pieces that we've used to make this entire webinar. And I think that's back to Kieran.
Okay, great. Thanks, Brian. Yeah, that's a great setting the scene there. So I guess the idea for this particular webinar came really, sorry, Sarah, if you move on to the next slide, thanks. The idea for this webinar came really much from our past clients and really what business have been telling us in the last, particularly the last 9 months. So we just thought we'd quickly summarize this in terms of the e-commerce landscape's totally changed. The business environment we're operating in is very, very different now. So the market's changing. Consumer behavior, customer behavior is changing, as is the supply chain. And what's happening now is a lot of people are going direct to customer. The economic outlook is very, very different, obviously. Today's news in Northern Ireland, now we're into a 2-week of a lockdown. But the good news, if there is a good news in this, is that certainly on the local stores, you're still able to operate a click and collect system. So that is, if there's a piece of good news out of that. So these two infographics from the left to right, what are people buying online over the last 9 months? Well, food and beverage is up 77.2%. Gifts and span, gifts, apparel and accessories, toys and games, home and garden stuff, that's up. No surprisingly, people haven't been traveling, so luggage is down, cameras and equipment, leisure gear, swimwear, gym bags, storage fixtures and displays. So there's all been a decline in them. I think the message very much here is, businesses have to change, and they've been doing that and showing their agility to meet buyers' needs. and adapting their business models. And this is likely to be the way forward in the next certainly 2, 3 to 5 years. Sarah, if you move on the next slide. So the big word that's been emerging now is pivot. Thanks, Brian, for doing my little animation of my bicycle wheel there, which looks like a wheel of my chopper, by the way. What are we needing to do now? Well, we have to actually embrace this. This is our new normal, our new world. But with it, there are opportunities. So as I said previously, many businesses now find themselves working either operating from a home type environment or a reduced environment. But increasingly people, if there are any of the professions that we've put up on the right hand side, you're finding that actually people are using a camera to demonstrate what they do, or perhaps a second or third camera. But all of this, what it illustrates is businesses are pivoting. So are you an online teacher, a tutor, a fitness instructor? Are you a cook, a chef, a baker, a cake maker, a demonstrator? Are you a photographer, a videographer? Are you into fashion? Do you own a fashion store? Do you own a shoe shop? Are you an artist, and all kinds of artists? Are you a Pilates or yoga instructor? Are you teaching music? Do you do anything that involves doing, making, or moving? And if you do, this thinking about using 1, 2, 3 cameras is very, very relevant to you. So just before I move on, this slide from the Chief Executive of Deliveroo, I think is very, very relevant here. So the reality is we're going to have to keep operating as we are now for some time to come. Staying agile, keeping a close eye on what's changing, driving rapid innovation, and staying responsive to our customers' needs. Okay, Sarah, if you'd move on to the next slide, please. Brian, I think you're going to introduce this. Yeah, we're away.
Well, we'll just let it go.
Okay, go ahead. I think we don't have the volume, so
audio. So essentially, what this slide is about is this is a product called Doodly, which we can now offer, and I just used it to illustrate the different things we're going to talk about. As you can see, we have lights, we have cameras, we have lights, and we are.
Yeah, that's
a tiny technical hitch with the audio.
That's okay. We're now live and we don't have a presentation, but that's okay. Hopefully we'll get that presentation back. So as Brian was saying there, the Doodly that he had up really what was an animation, and was explaining really a summary there, a 45, I think it was about 45 seconds, Brian, 45 second summary.
Just over 45 seconds, yeah.
Of what we're going to do. So I can see in the background there, Aisling and Sarah are trying to get our slides back up. Brian, I don't have the PowerPoint in front of me, otherwise I could keep talking, but can you fire up what's our next slide there?
So the next slide is actually you discussing Loom, which is another presentation. Let me just quickly, briefly go back over what we were talking about there, which is that we were talking about cameras and their use, and the sorts of cameras we need, and particularly emphasizing things like mobile cameras and using dual cameras. We're going to discuss this in a bit more detail later on. Also talked about lights and accessories, and again, these will be discussed as we go through. So if we are able to move on to the Loom, that would be very good.
Yeah. So as Sarah's trying to get our presentation back up, and we're now doing that. Thank you, Sarah. Well done. So in the little Loom video, what I do is I give a brief explanation of what Loom does. So Loom is a Google.
We've got the thing now. We'll just let this run.
Okay. All right. Bother. Yeah.
2 or 3, and maybe even 5. What do we need? We need a camera. There's webcam, standard, and a laptop, of course. DSLR, nice, and your mobile phone, very good. You need lights. This one's from the house. We have ring light, usually a mobile phone, and then a panel light, nice and professional. Mics, of course, and you get mics on your laptop and on a headset, what I'm using right now. Earphones that came with your phone, and lavalier mic, podcasting mic, very high quality, and boom mic. Software, we're going to use Zoom platform and Teams. We also use Loom, which we'll see, and ManyCam. Some others that we've used from time to time may not get discussed.
Although they will.
going to look at? Tripods. We have a little tripod. We have a selfie stick on a tripod. And then we have a mic stand, something a bit taller. Your camera tripod. Wireless keyboard and mouse. Very useful when you're not at the computer. And a green screen. Nice for backgrounds. And then connectors for everything.
Okay, I think that's now over to me on the next slide, Sarah, which is an explainer. No, yep, there we go. So you can run that now, Sarah, go ahead. And welcome to this very short explanatory video of how to use Loom. Now, Loom is a extension on the Google Chrome, and I've been using it for about a year. It's been around for about 2 or 3 years. But essentially what Loom will do is it'll record your camera, your microphone, and your screen recorder all in one. So in this little short demonstration, what I'm going to show you is what I've used it for in terms of trying to explain to someone if they wanted to go to mountain biking in Northern Ireland, how would they do it? So I'm going to move first of all from like a full screen view to a smaller view. And then now you'll see is over here I have a map of Northern Ireland. So mountain biking is a passion of mine, but very, very briefly, you can see I stay here. I can move around in this if I wanted to. You might want me to move off the screen. I can even go over to Scotland over here. So and I can talk to you about why I think mountain biking is great. The main national trail centres and the regional trail centres. I can show you where I live, which is just around here in Carryduff and near Belfast here, just about here on the map. And that particular mountain bike centre, Barnston Main, is close to me. So you can see how this could be very, very useful. I can make this actually smaller or bigger, and I can move this all around the screen. So very, very useful to do that. The Loom also has some additional functions, which has a draw facility. So if we just go over here, and we'll see that I might want to say, I can see that Gosford is not marked. It's a very recent addition to the mountain biking scene. So let's draw on Gosford and we'll mark it there. There you go. And that could be included. Now you'll see that only stayed there for 5 seconds, but it has a very, very useful draw function. Also within this, there is, when this video is finished, there'll be a call to action button. And in it, you will see, it'll say, want to stay in Northern Ireland, and it'll click to spare and view glamping. So I think Loom is very, very useful. It is free initially to use. We have an educational license, but if you're really just for trial, you can go and use and try it out. And for a full business edition, I think it's maybe $10 a month, but it's not that expensive. So I hope this has helped explain some of the functions of Loom. Thank you. Okay, so that Loom is something that increasingly, certainly in my own background, like if you're into the arts or anything digital or tourism, very, very useful. And I would say it maybe there's this first step on the ladder when you're doing, when you're exploring how to use a camera and a screen record at the same time. There are a lot of other screen recordings, pieces of software out there I know that Brian uses. Sarah, if you'd move on to the next slide there, please. So, Brian, I think I'm going to just kick off here, then I'll be handing over to you shortly. Okay, so big thing, I suppose, that people ask us, and between Brian and I, we've gathered up different pieces of kit over the last couple of years, but what equipment, what software do you need? And I guess I'll start with the little thing on the left. If it confuses you, it's kind of meant to, because that's what you don't do, is have something on your screen that distracts people. So I just have a question mark with numbers on it. And my little, if you can read the text, says, when presenting, it's okay to use a more natural, authentic background that reflects your personality, but just be sure that there's nothing distracting. So, I'm in a homework environment at the moment. I'm still going to Southern Regional College, certainly 1 day a week, or maybe sometimes more, but I'm operating out of a home office here at the moment. I have, to my right, as you see it, this is all natural light with a big window coming in the garage here. And it's quite a simple room. I have one light above me to my left, which I'll show you shortly. But that's in terms of quite a simple lighting setup, and my environment's quite simple. You will see with certainly with this platform, with Teams and with Zoom and with other platforms, you can have a virtual platform. And all I can say is just when you're recording live, a word of caution with that, because sometimes, not so much with Zoom, but sometimes within Teams, if you were to make a lot of movement and move a lot, it can distort your background, and then it looks as if you're quite futuristic, or as Ashley, she likes to dance, you could be dancing like this here, you know. So don't do that. What I'm saying is test out your background. Okay then, so microphones. I'm talking to you through, I'm going to show this up to the camera. This is a podcasting mic I got about 2 years ago. It's a good piece of kit. It's about 90, is about 100, now it's about 90 quid. It's called a Blue Yeti. So not something to just jump into, but if you're going to get into podcasting, it's a really, really good piece of kit. There's a built-in microphone with this iMac that I have here, but something that I found in terms of microphones very, very useful and not too expensive is this little thing here. And this is a clip. This is a little clip mic here, and that just clips in. If you can see that just clips onto my shirt. That's the little extension for my iPhone. And then if I was outside, there's a little windshield, although I wouldn't recommend recording outside with a clip mic. But that's quite simple in terms of microphones. In terms of a headset, this was originally my brother's, who was into music. This is quite a good headset. You'll even know from the brand of Behringer. Quite a good headset. And when I put that on, it actually cancels out quite a lot of noise. So again, if you're getting into this video, making a lot of videos, a headset would be another option. I know Brian uses a headset with a microphone that's clipped in. Brian, I think I'm going to hand over to you to talk a little bit about some of the cameras.
Go ahead. So essentially, mostly at the minute that I'm using at the moment is my mobile phone. So this is coming from my mobile phone, and we're going to demonstrate how that's done when we talk about ManyCam and also through Zoom. Very basic phone, very basic cameras. If you're on a second camera, just an old standard webcam, as he says, it knocks everything down. Just a bog standard webcam. The quality is not great. It works really well for stills. So if you want to do something like videoing a still image or a picture or a document of some sort, works extremely well for that. Not so good for movement because it just doesn't have the resolution. Other kinds of camera, the cameras that are, I'd say, on the phone, phones like this have 15 megapixel cameras on them. They're probably the best you're going to get short of a DSLR. I don't actually have a DSLR to show you, unfortunately. Kieran has quite a nice one, and he might show it to us in a moment. Other kinds of camcorder. Most camcorders after about the analog age, a little bit later than this one, can be used as webcams. They're very high quality. You get all of the features of the camcorder, including the zoom, etc. Or you can just literally set it up and you get a nice high quality system with also very good mic and very good hot shoe ability for things like lights, etc. One of our clients was saying, "Oh, I just bought this camera about 6 months ago. Will this be any good?" I'm looking at it going, "Yes, that will be absolutely perfect for everything you need." Things that you might get into that are a bit more exotic. I mean, you can use your tablet. Most tablets have a camera of one sort or another. My phone and my tablet have cameras front and back, so you get lots of possibilities there and lots of options. I can switch it, but I won't. Getting a little more esoteric, 360 camera. So this camera can be streamed, gives you a 360 view, and with the right software, you can do lots with it. But even just with ordinary Zoom or streaming, you can still get dual views and quite cheap.
Yeah, that's good.
If you want to get even more exotic, how about a drone? So this drone has a little HD camera built onto the front of it. It's really small, it's very quiet, a bit sneaky, possibly not entirely legal in every jurisdiction, but you know, possibilities abound. I think we'll let it be at that.
Yeah, okay. I just pick up there on lights and maybe just talk a little bit about you mentioned just about camera, and yeah. So this is the cottage sorry, I've got attached to the light. So this is a Canon 800D. That's about 3-year-old. Price wise, help me out there, Brian. But £400, between
about 350 at the minute.
Yeah. So I would nearly describe an 800D as, like, for me, entry level video, very good. The quality, I switch in this next demo, you'll see that I switch from this, and the quality is excellent. Now, what I alluded not to mention was I use that microphone with this camera. That microphone's about 30 quid. I use that, and it definitely makes a big difference in the sound. As going back to microphones does the clip mic, when you have your phone and you have your clip mic on and you're using a sound recording app, I use Voice Record, is very, very good. So one other camera that I just came across, Brian, was an old flip camera that I had from, I think this is about 7 years old, and it's high definition, and it still would do the job.
Yeah.
You know, I'm talking to you from the webcam there, but if I do this, which I wouldn't recommend doing live because I've just done it, and yeah, so that's a side view. That's my little Logitech camera at the side, which in the next demo I do explain. I'm going to switch back because well, Ashleen, she tells me that that's not my good side, so I'm going to go back to full.
Do you have a good side?
Hey, enough of that now. Behave yourself. Okay, so lights then. Talking about good sides. Lights. Okay, well, I've plenty of natural light here coming in through the window. Brian, on Brian's little doodly animation, he had quite a nice home desk light. I have one in this room at the moment, but I'm sure everyone at home has what's called, I would call an uplighter even, an uplighter. So that can put a lot of natural light. You just got to be careful when you're doing this. My friend Cahill has a light set that he dropped off to us, and I really only have one of them, which is up to my left. I'm going to be careful as I do this. So that's it, Brian. I think we call that a fill-in light, really.
Yeah, it's a fill light.
It kind of fills in the space. And I know my friend Wayne Denner, now Wayne's got a full lighting system, and he has his well balanced out when he's doing his presentations. I don't have one. I think, Brian, you might have one, but a little ring light is very, very good, and they're not that expensive. And certainly anyone into beauty and fashion, or if you're doing close-ups, and even if you're doing cooking, a little ring light, maybe about £30 or so, is very, very useful as well. So I think that leads us on nicely then to accessories. Again, Brian will probably back and forward with this. This is a little tool that I think is class, and it's called a gimbal. All right. Now this is a tracker. It tracks your motion. So when I press that button, put my phone on it, it will track, and you can do this on a live broadcast as well. That's £30. Very, very useful. Guess it's operated by 3 AA batteries. That's the only thing, it uses up the batteries, but a very useful tool. Like if say you were a florist or doing pottery, or you're standing back in the bench, and you were moving around if you were a cake or a chef demonstrator, moving around the kitchen, or you even were like Brian is like a Pilates expert.
This is not true.
That is true. You could use a gimbal. This is I really like this, and this is a little selfie stick and a tripod all in one with a remote control. $12.99, not expensive. A great piece of kit. One word of caution is the legs are a wee bit not unstable. Just you got to be careful with that. But listen, that's great. And again, if you were walking and talking and demonstrating, and you want to switch cameras, and Brian's going to show you that, and I'm going to show you that shortly in our next recorded sessions. This is very, very useful. Now, another one, again, is a gimbal, which is if you're on the move. Again, that's need to charge that up, but that's again another very, very useful tool. Brian, is there anything else in terms of accessories that
well, wireless mouse, keyboard we're going to mention? Yeah, if we can just switch back to me briefly. So the light that Kieran thought was actually a desk lamp isn't. It actually is. It's a full tripod sitting on the floor, and is actually. It looks like a desk lamp in the view, I'll admit, but it actually is. It sits on the floor and is quite tall. Again, little, perfect. I get a lot of stuff cheap. I'm very cheap. But wireless keyboard and mouse. So this is a wireless keyboard and mouse, and I'm going to talk about briefly talk about these in my demo. But certainly, Kieran will mention using a wireless mouse in his demo. It's a very handy thing to have. Second monitor, also very handy thing. It doesn't have to be expensive. The one that I'm using right now, I will briefly show you. That one there.
Yeah.
£70 from Lidl. Lidl is one of my favorite places, I would say. And as well, you can even use a television or whatever. We'll see later on in the demos that we do a lot of stuff away from the computer. You need to be able to see what you're doing still. So you can either use the little second screen that you have to hand, or you can use projection or something like that. Projector as well is a handy thing. Again, they can be not expensive. I would use them just as a way to monitor the action. So I think that's green screen. Sorry, I forgot about green screens. Kieran has a green screen. I have a black screen. Again, for doing that virtual background thing, they are a godsend. They make the computer work less and give you a much better view than you'll get from just the standard system that it uses to separate the foreground. And if you have that, there's even an option within Zoom if you have a green screen. It just makes it so much neater. And it's not hard because it's just a big piece of green cloth, which is not that hard to get.
Yeah, but you have to iron it.
You do have to. Well, yeah.
Well,
okay.
you
have to. It does have to be reasonably flat.
Take all the creases out, Brian. Of course, you don't do that. Yeah, yeah, that's right. You don't do your own ironing. Okay.
Excuse me. No one does.
I think we're ready for the next slide.
I think we'll move on to the next slide. This is Kieran.
Yeah. So this is a pre-record of me using. Away we go. Everyone, in this short demonstration, I'm going to show you using 3 different cameras if you were doing a pre-record or a live demo for that matter. So at this moment in time, the camera that you're seeing is my HD camera, and really on Zoom where I see that is FaceTime HD camera, and that's a built-in microphone. So that's straight in front of me. Now, there are other options when you scroll over where it says beside the video button, stop video button. At the moment on my dashboard, it says USB camera, ManyCam, virtual cam, ESO, which is my Canon camera, webcam utility. So there are 4 different options, and briefly I'm going to go through those now. So at the moment I'm talking to you just as normal on my HD FaceTime. I'm now going to switch to a little webcam which is at the side. So this is a little Logitech. It's an old camera. It's about 20 years old, and it's just focusing in on my hand. So if I was a craft producer and I was doing something right up and close by the keyboard, I could use something there. Or alternatively, I might want to do an overhead shot. Now this camera isn't exactly overhead, but there we are. I'm going to wave to you up there. Imagine that was shot overhead. Now that's a good quality picture you're seeing there, because that's through an SLR, and I'm looking up and hello everybody. And then I'm going back now. I'm going to go back, and I'm going to go back onto the FaceTime HD. So there's a very simple demo, but you can even see the quality of the lighting was different there. Now, at this moment in time, I am not sharing the screen, but what if I wanted to share the screen then, which I'm going to do now. So I'm into share screen. At this moment, it's just me, only the host. And I'm going to click on that. I'm given different options here: the desktop, a whiteboard, an iPhone via cable, which I have on here, and I'm looking for advanced. So that's in the basic. Let's go to the advanced functions. I'm looking for content from a second camera. If I click on that and then I hit share, only the host is okay. So I have an option up here to switch camera. Okay, let's close that out. And let's close all these other windows out here for the minute time. Okay, let's close that out. Okay, so at the moment, I now what you're seeing here, the view that you're seeing at this moment in time sorry, I beg your pardon. What you're seeing at the moment in time is back to my HD. But a quicker way of doing this is to hit the switch camera mode when you're sharing the screen. So that's easier than having to go into the video button all the time. So literally, it's going to give me different options here. That's ManyCam. That now is back up there in the corner. That is my that's my Canon camera, and then I'm going to be switching again. So it's the same thing, only it's a lot handier here. When you're in Zoom, you have a switch camera button. The only way to activate that is if you are in the share screen. And then now going back to my main camera. So I hope you were able to follow that. Thank you. Okay, so that takes us nicely. Then we have with one more demonstration, Sarah. I think Brian's going to talk next about ManyCam. If you'd move that on, Sarah, thanks.
Just before you do, Sarah, can I just make? Okay, well,
Yeah.
Sorry, I was just literally want to say something that struck me that I'd forgotten to mention earlier.
Go ahead.
When Kieran was demonstrating that sharing the content, the benefits of doing that are that you get to see yourself. So you literally do get the two cameras simultaneously, as opposed to what I'm going to show, which is switching cameras around. And that gives you that ability to actually have other content and also discuss it. And I think that's important to note. So please let's go. Thanks, Sarah.
What Kieran was showing was the ability to record using multiple devices in Zoom, which is exactly what we're trying to show here. All of the devices he was using were physically connected with USB, apart from the wireless mouse. What I want to show is how you can do this with a mobile device, mobile phone. We've mentioned it a few times already. I want to show another way of actually bringing in the information and giving a little more flexibility. I'm using an app called ManyCam for this. ManyCam runs on the laptop and on the phone and allows Zoom to pull in the feed from the phone. The phone can be wired or wireless, as it is at the minute, it's wireless. And we can take the audio and the video feed from the phone or from the laptop. At the minute, I'm recording the audio through the headset because I'm getting a better feed and a better quality of feed than through the microphones on the tablet. That's because of the way they're situated in the dock. On Kieran's computer, microphones are much better, set up better for it. Now, to switch to ManyCam, it's just the same as switching any other camera. We go into the video settings or Alt-N, click ManyCam, virtual webcam. Now you can see I'm not looking at the camera. Audio is still coming through the headphones. I'm going to switch to ManyCam. So that's going to sound very
That would be switching to the laptop.
We're on ManyCam. So that's coming through the phone. So you're getting a slightly different quality, you're getting a different level to the light, getting a higher quality camera. On this phone tablet, we actually have
better looking.
We can switch as normal. We also have the cameras front and back on the camera. That gives us 4 possibilities, 2 at the same time. What can we do with this? Well, at the minute, it's just sitting here giving me a different angle. I could be looking at the back of my head. No one wants to see that. What we can do is get up and move. So I'm going to take off the headset. You should still be able to hear me.
I think we need a drum roll for this, Sarah.
That's okay. And just very standard. I'm going to quickly let you see around. There's that nice light. And I've already set up a little area over here, which I'm going to use to demonstrate a little bit of exercise.
Ashley's going to be so impressed.
Get used to it. You know, see it very much. I'm going to take us off the selfie stick.
This has never been witnessed in public before.
Now, we can go over here.
It's this guy.
So note the odd socks. Also, you'll note that there's no sound now because Brian managed to find the mute button on the phone. So I can use this time to explain a few things about using a mobile phone. A couple of things to note. It doesn't have to be, and it's probably better if it's not your main phone. It also doesn't have to have a SIM card. And if you do have a SIM card and all the other things, put it into Do Not Disturb. Also try not to mute it while you're using it. I'm currently, right now as I'm speaking to you, using my phone for this through ManyCam. And I do that because it's got a better quality of the actual phone, plus I can monitor it better than on the laptop. But as you can see, it has its own perils.
How many setups did you do?
I don't know. I did 3 per session, but I did many sessions.
No, I think the quality there of the ManyCam was when you were moving around and we saw that. When you weren't moving, obviously the quality was better. But you know, word of caution, I suppose, when there's a lot of movement, it can distort the picture. You know,
and that's kind of a combination of the ManyCam and also the fact that my camera is not using any kind of balancing or vibration sensor at the minute, so it's that turned on. Yeah.
Oh, that was very good, very good, Brian. Okay, I think then we have a next. Yeah, Carl, go ahead.
So I was going to just say that the next thing then is me showing you roughly how I actually did that using ManyCam. I wanted to point out that at the beginning, what I'm using to record the images is actually PowerPoint. Interesting, one of those other bits of software.
For this, Kieran used Loom. I probably should use Loom too, but I'm using a slightly different recording methodology. I'm going to demonstrate how to actually add a video source into ManyCam. Now, the first thing you need to do, obviously, is install ManyCam. ManyCam is downloaded from the ManyCam website. Install it on the laptop, install it on the phone. I can't demonstrate that. And then log both of them in the same account on the same Wi-Fi network. The next thing you need to do is to add the source in. So we'll first be presented with this screen. The screen has effectively a blank ManyCam camera feed, and there's presets and layers. Doesn't really matter what all of that means. Effectively, for our purposes, we're going to do something with preset 1. We actually have 2 to work with, but we're going to just use 1. Click video sources. You get a list of the different sources. You can add a webcam, the desktop, which is just desktop screen saver, the screen share rather, gaming, IP cameras, etc., etc., etc. There's lots of stuff you can add. For our purposes, again, we're only after one thing, which is the mobile device. Click mobile device, go into Samsung, and connect. All things being equal, on the phone, a message will appear. Would you like to connect? You say accept. And now we can see on the screen momentarily we get me. And this is the feed coming from my phone. So if I look at the phone, there we are. So in Zoom now, if I minimize this, you can see that's still the front camera. If I switch to ManyCam, that's from there. And then I can switch the audio as well. And then we're getting the audio through the camera. Well, the phone, that is. And that's pretty straightforward. You want to switch back, you can go through the menu or Alt-N.
So Alt-N lets you switch cameras dynamically. And what the problem with using Alt-N, the benefit of using Alt-N is that you don't have to actually go through the menu, you don't have to move the mouse and everything else, and you can use your wireless keyboard for that. The difficulty is that if you've got 4 or 5 cameras, as I do, then you have to cycle through each one before you get to the one you want. So it's swings and roundabouts. If you set it up correctly, you only have 1 camera to switch to, you're golden.
Yeah, an Alt-N brand you can use with both. Doesn't matter whether it's an Apple device or a PC.
That's correct.
Okay. Yeah. No, Brian. I tell you what I liked about that. So just to clarify, you're using ManyCam there through Zoom.
Yes.
Okay, and the difference in when I was demonstrating mine, which wasn't through ManyCam, although I have ManyCam software and I have used it, but I was going straight into Zoom. You were able to switch audio, which was interesting.
Yes, and that's because ManyCam does a whole lot of other things other than just what we're using it for. It captures the actual audio and video from any of the sources, so we can swap them around. It's not as easy with Zoom directly, and there's certainly no easy way to switch the audio sources in Zoom. One of the options we had looked at is the idea that you could just use ManyCam for all of those.
Yeah,
camera
I think what I was thinking, Brian, I was thinking if depending on the distance you were from your main camera, so for me, if I was 3 meters away or 4 meters at a different demonstration zone, so at the moment the microphone's still coming from close to the computer, then switching the audio to the back of the room would be very useful. Or one thing that you had on your doodly was you had this drop down from a ceiling microphone that I've seen certainly in churches and other places, and I'm wondering, is that another, we should be letting people know that that's another option when you want to switch your sound?
The option to do a drop down mic is probably a little bit much for most people, to be frank. It's just a bit more effort and you have to set more stuff up. It's probably, but it's just literally a switch to switch the different microphones. The only thing is Zoom doesn't have dedicated command for it. You have to use the menu. But if you feed everything through ManyCam, then you just switch to ManyCam, and then ManyCam can switch sources and you can have that automated. In fact, ManyCam can do it on a timer and all sorts of things. So
and the quality there of when you switch to ManyCam on the phone was very good, actually. The quality was good, and I could see a lot of our clients using this.
Yeah, ManyCam has, again, there are other software that does similar things, but it just has got so much functionality. But it can do full 4K Ultra if you pay for the additional options and you've got that on your camera.
Okay, all right. I think we're ready for the next slide, Sarah. Brian, I think you're going to take this one.
Yeah, so this is some of the other software that we said we might talk about. The first one there is DroidCam. DroidCam is software you put on an Android phone. And also on your laptop or tablet, and it lets you feed the camera from the phone to the laptop. It's very sophisticated in that it can do several things, and it does them quite well. But we found it doesn't have quite the kind of functionality that ManyCam and the next bit I'm going to talk about multicam does. And it's limited in the number of cameras you can actually have, especially before you have to pay for it. In fact, it is one. So one extra camera. So it'll be good for a single setup, and it's free for a single setup, and it's pretty easy to install. It just also seemed to be a little more laggy than using ManyCam. The next bit of software we're looking at there is a thing called Multicam from Pinnacle. Kieran has looked at this a bit. Yeah. It comes with the Pinnacle Studio, which is a paid for option, but it's about £40 or something. And it has it's designed for multi-camera use. It's got multi-camera switching, and it has the ability to have all of the feeds simultaneously on the screen, so you can switch between them like in a nice control room, and it's very sophisticated in what it does. Last two there, Ecamm and OBS, are designed for semi-professional setup. Ecamm especially is designed specifically for feeding high quality audio and video into something like Teams, or into a professional broadcast of some sort, or doing the broadcast itself. OBS is something similar. It's an open source software, largely, but both of them are really quite complex to set up. There are people out there going, no, it's not. Yes, it is. It's much more complex than what we've just done. Let's put it that way.
If I could maybe come in there before we go to the next slide, just Ecamm Live, our friend Wayne Denner, who has done a podcast workshop for us in the past, and certainly a number of things has supported us. He uses Ecamm Live, and he thinks it's really, really good, very professional. And he would contest your last statement that it's difficult to set up.
It's more difficult to set up. Let's put it that way.
And I did look at the Pinnacle system. I'll tell you what I like about the Pinnacle, Brian, just briefly, the multicam, is the editing capabilities in it. Very good. So you can actually edit within the software, Brian, without having to come out to another piece of editing software. And they have like their online tutorials are very, very useful. So it is a paid for option, but again, if you're moving up a bit, it's definitely something to think about. Sarah, I think we're going to go to one more slide and then we'll be handing over to Aisling. So I think we have another slide still. So really, I guess what Brian and I are saying to you all today is, you know, so we have the clock there, start the clock, just embrace all of this. You know, you look at statistics online and that does just a little graphic taking, but online sales are in growth and going to continue to do so. So start with something like, you know, even just start with a screen recorder and get used to being in front of a camera. For me, Loom is a great starter and it's not that expensive. Actually, it's free to start with. And then I think you're allowed so many days or maybe a trial, and you're actually allowed to have some recordings before you have to opt for the paid option, but it's a great starter one. I think the most important thing here is you don't do this on your own. You know, you ask for help, and I mean by that is like friends or family or colleagues or other businesses, or ask around and test it out. You know, you're not going to be a professional overnight. That's really important that you get feedback from your customers. Businesses moving online, cameras in our and using second cameras soon will become second nature in the next year or two. Ask your either existing customers or your prospects. So if you're thinking about new customers and you're thinking, well, what do you know, just get feedback from them. And we'd be delighted to help you at Southern Regional College. I mean, Brian and I both different areas of expertise, but if you want to, we are jointly working with 3 different clients at the moment around some of this kind of stuff in podcasting and other bits and pieces. So we'd be delighted to help you on anything around this, and obviously on other areas. Which really leads me nicely. I'm about to hand over to my colleague Aisling, but I really we kept this as tips. I hope that you've been able to get some insight. Honestly, I don't have an IT background, so this isn't that difficult, and my word to you is embrace it. We've had a bit of fun, obviously recording, and I hope that came across today. And I'm now going to hand over to Aisling just to say thanks again to all the team behind the scenes, to Sarah and Aisling for helping out, and to all our colleagues in business support, and thanks to Connected NI. Aisling, it's over to you.
Thanks for that, Kieran. We just have a few questions, Kieran. I'll just put them to you here.
Yep.
The first one is, what are the best cameras for a virtual tour?
Okay, I'll start with that one. 3 to start off with. I use I'm looking for it as I'm talking to you. A wee brand. Yeah, I have it here. I use this one's actually about 4 or 5 years old. This is a wee Theta S. And you could buy these. I bought one of these secondhand for about £50 from eBay. And at entry level, Aisling, this is one of the best. So 2 camera at the front, camera at the back, operated from your smartphone, and quite easy, relatively easy to do. That would sit on a tripod, and it has about a 4-meter range, and it is Wi-Fi operated and a Bluetooth and Wi-Fi connected. So that's a good starter. There are a lot of others on the market. Either just if you want to play with this for the first time, buy one of these secondhand. There are so many at the moment, and then you can go up in range. Brian, if you want to, in terms of the actual, that's the camera, and then Aisling, the virtual tour. There's a number of different platforms out there. There are about 10. I use a paid for option called Kuula, Kuula. I'm happy to put that in the summary notes when we're going out. That's one that I use, but there are a number of them out there. Brian, if you want to jump in there.
Yeah, if I could just make a small pitch for the my little 360 camera, the Galaxy Gear.
Yeah.
Again, I bought this for £50. It's technically capable of 4K video, and I've used it to do some video around the house and on some of my walks and things with my wife. It's a specific thing we've been doing, and the quality is astonishing. One thing about it is that it doesn't stream. It records only onto the
device
card. The card.
Yeah.
You can stream it through Bluetooth, but it wasn't brilliant. But apparently, with the way to do it is you can actually record it. You can physically plug it into your phone and then stream that. Now that requires the right phone. It's basically a Galaxy phone. I would also like to say that in terms of hosting tours, it depends what you want to do with the tour. If you want to do the proper full tour experience, Kula or something like that is exactly what you need. If all you want to do is just show people a 360 video, YouTube and Facebook both are hosting 360 videos. But you don't get any control over that. You put it up there and that's it. People can look around and they can look, but you don't get to control what's on it. So that's why a platform is good if you want to be a little bit more professional.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, actually, it's a good question there. Maybe it's something, Brian, in the when people aren't tired of hearing us all the time. Sarah's gonna, her eyebrows are gonna be raised at what I'm about to say here, but maybe you and I could do a something around virtual tours in the spring series, Sarah.
Well, I think that's not a bad idea, actually, when it will be nice to do a tour.
Actually, I know my colleague, friend, actually, Alan Hamilton. Alan is joining our part-time business panel, and it'll be great to have him on board. And perhaps there's something we could do with tours and virtual tours and trails in the spring series. So, Ashley, are there any other questions?
There is another question, Kieran. Just how much do these tools and platforms cost? Right.
Okay. Tools. What we've been trying to do, actually, as we go along, is highlight costs. You heard Brian talking there. I suppose tools. That one there, which would be useful to demonstration. I think I said about £30 in around that. Headphones. Right. So that's a clip mic. Ashley, sorry, that's a clip mic. Lavalier, sorry, clip mic, again in around that price. If you're going to buy one, you know what, and if you think you're going to do a lot of interviewing, buy two. If you're going to be podcasting, if it's just for you as a demonstrator, one would be plenty. If you're buying two, you buy it with what's called a splitter. Don't think what I didn't show you, actually, in terms of costs, but there's a lovely wee light that could go on the side of your phone if you were in a dark space and lighting was a real problem. Sorry, I'm just going to switch it on as we're talking to you. They're not expensive. I think they're about £5 or £6. They're not that expensive. The headphones can be expensive, and that there particular microphone there was about £30. The camera, we've talked about the cost. You have your phone. In terms of accessories, in terms of platforms, well, we're on Teams, and our college subscribes to Teams. We've talked about Zoom. Zoom, probably in the marketplace, people know about. It's free up until a certain level, but certainly to get you up and going. Other platforms that Brian highlighted in his slide, those tend to be, a lot of those are paid for. I think what I would like people to take away from this action is just get in there, ask for more advice. Don't spend a lot of money. That would be the thing, but you may have to spend some kind of investment. But start, if you had a phone, a little clip mic, and a camera in front of your PC or iMac, whatever it is, away you go.
Can I just quickly jump in and say, if your phone was an iPhone and came with headphones, the nice good iPhone headphones that used to come with them,
yeah,
that'll probably do you to get going. You can actually start there. Even with the dual functionality, if you also have a laptop or a tablet or anything. But Loom, using Loom the way Kieran did, that was free. So you've got two video sources effectively, as long as you have a computer. And the other thing I was going to say about that is that the computer doesn't need to be particularly good. As long as you're not using lots of feeds simultaneously and not stressing it out, anything in the last 5 years will actually do this job nicely.
Yeah. Okay, good. Any more questions, Ashley?
No, Kieran, I think we're all okay. Thank you so much for that presentation. That was really insightful, and hope everybody learned a lot from it. I just wanted to jump in quickly just to talk about some of the support that we have available to businesses here at the college. Firstly, I suppose a very relevant one is the Skills Intervention Programme, which offers fully funded accredited training for anyone impacted by COVID-19. So that can be anyone maybe made redundant, or anyone on furlough, or anyone impacted in any other way. There's a wide range of courses available to those type of people. We also have the Skills Focus Programme, which is a business-focused training programme, and it's funded by the Department for the Economy, and it provides non-mandatory training, and it's recently been extended from 75% to now fully funded. That's in response to COVID as well. We also offer the Innovate Us programme, which offers 30 to 60 hours of mentoring or upskilling on a one-to-one basis through virtual or on-site or at the college premises, whichever works. And that's for an innovative product, process or a service. We also have innovation vouchers. They're a way for businesses to avail of R&D opportunities and resources for innovative solutions. It is important to remember, though, there's a VAT element to that programme. We also offer Fusion programme, which is the opportunity to get a high calibre graduate into your business, partially funded through Intertrade Ireland. We also have higher level apprenticeships in a wide range of areas. So we would encourage you, if you have a training need, or you would like some support in any area, please get in touch with us. We'll be sending out an evaluation, and we would really appreciate any feedback. And on that evaluation, you can register for a call back, which means one of us will give you a ring, and we can explain those programmes in further detail and hopefully be able to help you out. We do have upcoming webinars as well, so keep an eye out for those on our social media channels. Hopefully there'll be some more that are of interest to you. So on that note, that's me. Thank you so much for joining us today, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks.
Bye. Thanks very much, everyone. Bye.